let's go. What's up guys, here's Kevinko. Welcome to another one of my motovlogs. Here is an English motovlog today because I wanted to speak to my English people from UK, United States, Canada, wherever you are around the world. If you're new to my channel, I'm doing motorcycle content in French and English, mostly in French but sometimes in English. So if you want to learn more about what I'm doing, don't hesitate to press the subscribe button. Today's topic is going to be about this bike, my brand new Speed Triple 1200 RR. As you know, this bike just came out in 2022, so there's not a lot of content on it, and this is also why I decided to pick this one. So compared to the 1200 RS, this model is a little bit more race focused, which means that you have clip-ons, the rear pegs are a little bit higher, the position's a little bit more tucked in, super sport type of vibe, and of course you have the front fairing, which helps deflect the wind. I had this bike for 2 weeks now. I did a little bit of content on it, but not that much. I've rode around 600 kilometers on it, something like that, maybe 700. And so far guys, this bike, I'm telling you, is not what you think. My previous bike before that was a Speed Triple 1050 RS, which is more focused for the road. You're sitting much more straight on the 1050. The position is much more relaxed, which is obviously better for longer roads, right? So if you're coming from a 1050 and you're thinking about upgrading to a 1200, this video is mostly for you guys. Thank you. So one thing that's much different obviously from the 1050 is the power. The power delivery is totally different. As I remember, the 1050 had a shorter RPM range, which means that it was revving a little bit less high compared to this bike. But let me tell you something guys, the way the power is delivered between this one and the 1050, it's way different. I found that the 1050 had much more grunt at a lower RPM, which means that you were going way faster starting from zero. Maybe the fact that it was a naked bike made it feel much faster from the get-go, but to be honest, as I remember the 1050, I was feeling like I had a little bit more power at a lower RPM compared to this one, which has most of its powers burst coming at around 5,000 kilometers all the way up. So that means that this bike is a little bit more, I say, super sport type of tuned, which I think is interesting because the 1200 RS, which is the naked version of this one, has the same engine and the same power delivery. So why would you put a type of super sport vibe into a naked bike unless you want to make it a race bike, right? So to be honest, if I had to come back and choose between the 1200 RS and the 1200 RR, I would probably still go with this one, because I feel like the fact that you have clip-ons, the fact that you have the electronic suspension, the fact that also you have the fairing and everything, the power delivery suits much more this bike than the RS in my opinion. Even though the RS might be much more comfortable for longer rides, I would still prefer this one. A lot of people will complain about clip-ons, but to be honest, in pretty much all sports bikes that I've ridden, this is the most comfortable I ever ridden. Obviously, I never tried a BMW S1000 RR, so I can't really compare it. But so far, for a super sport bike, this feels very comfortable, which is another good point between the 1200 RS and 1200 RR. If most of the time you're in the highway cruising, I think this one's a much better bike actually, because the position is not too far forward, but also, whoa, okay, so as I was saying, the positions is not too tucked over, but what really helps is the front fairing and the windshield for the wind. That makes the big difference for the highway. So as I was saying, the 1200 RR, the 1200 RS, and the 1050 RS are three very different bikes. If I had to choose one bike that I would make long distance, I would probably go back on my 1050 RS, which had probably a little bit more grunt down low and also was quite comfortable if I'm being honest. The suspension wasn't too hard, it was just perfect. The 1050 RS, I had it for 3 years and I must say it was a really good bike. I made a road trip of 1,000 kilometers on it and I never had any problem, discomfort, back issues. It had pretty much all the tech that this one had, except maybe the Bluetooth and all that stuff. but it still had cruise control and all different modes, rider modes. So yeah, and if I had to choose a bike that it's more track focused, do some track days, and if I'm spending a lot of time on the highway, it would definitely be the 1200 RR, which is this one. And so far I'm quite pleased of my choice. I'm pretty sure that if I had the 1200 RS, I would have maybe regret a little bit not getting this one. And also in terms of look, I just thought that the 1050 RS looked a little bit like the 1200 RS, but this one, the 1200 RR, looks much different. And I like a lot the color, I like a lot the style, the design. I think it's just beautiful. I think this bike just sets itself apart from other bikes. It's just very different, it rides different. So yeah, so far I'm very pleased with this bike, but I'm probably going to make a long-term review, a longer-term review I'd say, on this bike, and probably going to add more specification. So if you have any question about this bike, or if you want me to make some content, some specific content about this bike, just write it down in the comment section, so that way I can read it and probably answer a question or make videos out of it. So that's pretty much all I have for you guys. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to my motorcycles page if it's not already done, and I'll see you on the next video. Deuce.